I'm very pleased to be interviewing Jack Myers, who is Chairman, Media Economist for the Media Advisory Group, and he is also the publisher of Jack Myers' Media Business Report and MediaBizBloggers.com. Well, I'm so pleased to be interviewing you, Jack.
Good to be with you, Charlene.
Can you tell me a little bit of your background? How did you get to where you are today?
Well, it really, it's like it started at the 5,000 watt radio station. In my case, it started when my parents didn't want to have a television in the home. So I actually grew up for my first 7 years listening to the radio. And then when we finally got the television, it's like when you don't let your children have candy and they become candy addicts. I became a television addict, and I really loved television. We got cable. We were one of the first towns to get cable when I was 15 years old, and it was seeing Soupy Sales for the first time when I, was running home with my friends to see Soupy Sales. So I've had a passion for television and radio my whole life, and went to college to study TV, radio, and then went through a number of jobs in radio, television, and at CBS. One of the positions I got was responsibility for media research, but also new technology, and I became a major fan of cable, and became very vocal inside CBS in the early 1980s about getting involved in cable, and they suggested that maybe if I liked cable so much, I should go to work for cable instead of hanging around and making a nuisance of myself at CBS. So I did, and after working a couple of years in the industry, I was looking for research on how sales organizations and messages and marketing, how cable was being perceived, and there was no one doing that research. So I decided to launch a company to focus on researching the ad community, marketers, on their perceptions of different media, their needs, their opportunities, and that evolved into projecting trends, forecasting the business models for the future, and that led into what I do today, which is advise. I have investments in about 15 companies through the Media Advisory Group, and I publish the Jack Myers Media Business Report, and then underwrite the thought leadership platform for industry professionals at MediaBizBloggers.com.
So Jack, tell us a little bit about Jack Myers' Media Business Report.
It's a subscriber-only report. It's weekly. We do a lot of research in the ad community and in the marketing community and in the media community to assess trends. We do a tremendous amount of forecasting. We, first of all, measure performance of sales organizations and evaluate who's doing a good job or who's leading the industry in innovation and research and in a number of other areas. But our real call to action is our economic forecasts. We have, I think, the state-of-the-art forecasts in terms of looking back a couple of decades and forward a decade in 55 different media and marketing categories. We've broken every single medium down into its legacy components and its digital components. We're projecting them out to 2020. We see that broadcast television is going to be, dependent on digital for about 25% to 30% of its revenues in 2020, whereas cable will be dependent on digital revenues for about 15% of its revenues. But we're also projecting out the growth of social media, which was less than $2 billion in 2010 for real social media applications, and will be nearly $50 billion by 2020. Mobile, which is just under a billion in 2010. Mobile advertising will be 17 to 18 billion in 2020. Interactive television, exponential growth for a lot of reasons over the next 10 years, even though people look at ITV and say, well, it's been around for 15 years, it hasn't gone anywhere. Well, the next 10 years are going to be on steroids in terms of the growth for a lot of very real reasons. We look at experiential marketing. And what's interesting is that in terms of the growth of media that we look at, where's all this money coming from? It's not really coming from other ad budgets. It's coming mostly from the traditional below-the-line promotional and direct marketing budgets. So it really creates an interesting dynamic for the industry, and so I really study those, report on those, analyze those. Where's the money going? Where's it coming from? And how do traditional media companies and emerging media companies and agencies and marketers understand those trends and respond to them.